Jungle.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the greatest spectacle is being brought to you with Julie, Chewbacca Fairy, Anthony, A.J., Luhan, Clifford, Red John Miller, and this is Get the K.O. Two, one. Welcome everybody to another edition of Get the KO. I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, and as you can see today, we're kind of short-handed. So my co-host for today is the incredible A.J. Luhan. Or you can just call him Lou. He'll save himself too. What's going on, man?
You can call me Lou and fight me.
So, last week it was Fuck Colby Covington. We had some issues with the last program, the last message, or the last video that we did. So it is what it is. But we're just gonna keep moving on because that's what we do. So let's get into this card, man. So we're gonna talk about UFC Fight Night 157. This was a fun card altogether. I mean, top to bottom, I don't really know any other card that I would have said was as good as this one. I say that in the sense that just being in China, everything that needed to happen happened, and it was great. So let's just jump right down to the first card, right? So we had Yanan Wu versus Mizuki Ion, right? All these stats, by the way, we're gonna get. It's gonna be based out of Google because they do all the fights. So total strikes for Mizuki, 102 out of 214. Significant strikes, 93 of 204. Takedowns, 0 for 4. 163 out of 283 for Wu. 123 out of 270 in her significant strikes, 0 for 4 in her takedowns as well. This scorecard was it 29-28? 29-28, 28-29 split decision for Mizuki, and I had it that way too. I know I think I had her picked last week, but I definitely wanted her to win, obviously, and she came through. So big ups. What was your thought process on this, Anthony?
This fight was very fast paced. I mean, the strikes say it. I mean, for women to come out and throw 200 plus strikes, nearly 300 strikes. A very fast-paced fight. Usually with those kind of numbers, you see people either beat up or you see people getting knocked out. And this was a split decision. It was right down the middle. So a very, very, very close fight.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those fights too that you could have run back, and you're probably gonna get the same. I don't know if you'll get the same result. You'll get just the same exciting fight. I think depending on who you were, I thought Wu did a lot. The one thing I didn't appreciate, right, and this was something that Michael Bisping brought up on the air, was they had interviewed her and they thought about like, hey, what's the difference between you and Mizuki? And she said that I'm taller and better looking. And the thing that Michael Bisping said was he didn't appreciate that comment, and the reason why is because you don't objectify women in the sport of mixed martial arts. In combat sports, you just don't do it. And he's like, you might be the taller fighter, but if you keep delaying your hook the way you are, you're going to get caught every single time. And sure enough, that's what Mizuki was doing, and she was utilizing the ground. So big ups to Michael Bisping just for like calling it the way he sees it, and he doesn't see, flavors of women in the octagon. He just sees fighters, and that's what I appreciated in that comment. We're gonna move up, right? So Keenan Song versus Derek Krantz. Massive fight as well. Definitely enjoyed watching this one. Keenan, 61 of 131, 58 of 120 in significant strikes, no takedowns. Derek Krantz, 52 of 105, 33 of 85, and then 3 of 6 in his takedowns. Scorecards had it 29-28, 29-28, 29-28, all for your winner, Keenan Song. Honestly, the 3 takedowns were huge to me. I felt like Derek was just doing a lot, being mobile, getting in, getting out. I thought he honestly had the octagon. I scored it 29-28 the other way. All three judges saw it, but it is what it is. That's why they get paid to judge fights, and I don't. So whatever. Anthony, what was your thought process on this?
I'm with you. I don't. I'm not quite understanding what the judges saw. I mean, definitely one round went to him, but Derek was very mobile, like you said. 3 takedowns. He went 3 for 6 on takedowns with a submission attempt, and you lose this fight, and it just feels it's the home country advantage. You're in China, and you get 3 takedowns anywhere else. You're probably gonna win this fight as long as you don't get taken down 4 times.
Yeah, and I think if I remember right, I think all the Chinese fighters won, which I'm not saying anything wrong with that. A few of the fighters deservedly won this fight, and we'll definitely talk about the main event as well. Um, especially like Mizuki was doing well, but Wu thought that she was gonna get the win, and she didn't. So, um, moving up though, we have Kai Kara France taking on Mark De La Rosa. Um, so in this fight, it went to decision. One knockdown for Kara France, 93 of 195 for total strikes, 91 of 193 for his significant strikes, and then 1 for 1 for his takedowns. Mark De La Rosa, he was 63 of 198 for his total strikes, 60 of 195 for his significant strikes, 1 for 7 for his takedowns. Scorecards also had this 30-27, 30-27, 29-28. I had this 30-27 as well. I felt that Carr France was just taking the fight everywhere he wanted to go. The fight was just going to go there. So if he wanted to take it to ground, it was going to ground. If he wanted to keep it standing, it was going to keep standing. He shut down 6 other takedowns. He gave up one, kind of like a fluky one, but it was what it was. Carr France, definitely a beast. Got to keep an eye on him moving on towards future fights. Anthony, what was your thought for this one?
So I'm gonna be very honest with you, and this card was very early, and I fell asleep during this fight. I literally didn't get to watch back on this, but I got to get to watch the highlights, and I was very impressed with Kai. He looked phenomenal.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, Kai he's the man. I have to give a lot of props to him on that. Um, Moving up, we had Li Jilin versus Elizu Zaleski de Los Santos. This was by TKO, third round, 4 minutes, 51 seconds. Brutal. It looked like what was going on, like towards the end, just a nasty knee got landed. Um, Santos backed up into the cage, and just Lee just dropped heavy, heavy bombs. Lee tried to get back to the other, or Santos tried to move back to the other side of the octagon, got clipped in the chin, dropped him. He just curled up into a little ball, ducked himself in, and that was kind of it. So big ups to Lee for that win. Definitely deserving. Great job.
I'm really excited to see what he's gonna do in the UFC because he went 2 for 3 versus for takedowns, and he looked really good striking. Outstruck him. He, I mean, wow, just a good performance by him. I want to see more from him. I know he has it in him, and I want to see what he can do.
Yeah,
Um, gonna be that Chinaman, that Chinaman that might be the next big thing in the UFC.
yeah. I definitely liked watching him fight. I thought his just in out game was just phenomenal. I mean, he was pressing the tempo. Santos was trying to be defensive, and that might be just because something Santos is known for his Brazilian jiu-jitsu as well as he was trying to set up his kick game. But Lee was just walking through and just saying, "No, I'm going to keep coming. I'm going to keep coming. I'm going to keep coming. There's nothing you're going to do about it." And there was nothing that he could do about it. So big ups to Lee once again. I cannot wait to see what he does in his next fight. So shout outs to that man. So the next fight that we're going to talk about, I really want to dive into this fight, right? I really, this the main event. There's a lot to be digested in this fight. Jessica Andrade versus Weili Zhang. Um, I had Jessica Andrade winning this fight. I had her win this fight because of what she did to Thug Rose. She was dominant. She took her down whenever she wanted to. She landed heavy hands. She was a beast. I had her win this fight. Now Zhang, by all means, is she is amazing. She was 19-1 going into this fight. She was just beating people down. She landing devastating kicks, had devastating knees, devastating hands. Just everything about her screamed that she was going to be a title contender. And I don't know why I didn't go with Weili, but she came out on top. Just to give you an idea, she had one knockdown. She was 29 to 38 for total strikes, 29 to 38 for significant strikes, and Jessica was 4 for 12 for her total strikes as well as her significant strikes. So, knockout, first round, 42 seconds. Amazing, amazing win. Big ups to Zhang. I cannot wait to see her first title defense and who is chosen to fight her. Um, we do know that there is a big fight coming up with Jacek as well and Michelle Watterson. I'm sure that the winner of that fight will probably be the winner or be the person who's granted the next title shot. So we'll see that because that fight happens in October, right, Anthony?
Yep, correct. Um, yeah, definitely. The biggest thing that we take away is nobody should probably mess with Weili Zhang right now. She is a monster. Even Dana said that nobody wants to fight her, so they bring Andrade in. She's like, she'll fight her. And those knees, those forearms, those elbow shots. Whew, that girl's a bad, bad woman.
She is. She's a nightmare. She's a nightmare all over the standing up game. I'm very curious to see really more about her technical side on the ground, but for right now, on point. All fights start on their feet, and she is devastating at those. So I cannot wait to see what happens coming up. So aside from this fight card, right, we do have another big fight card coming up. Um, it's going to be taking place in the arena. Um, it's on September 7th. We are talking about UFC 242. Um, Top to bottom, this card is stacked with a lot of new faces and a lot of big names. Some big names, a lot of new faces. Anthony, is there a fight like in the early prelims or the prelims that you're really looking forward to?
Let me pull up that card real quick. I had it up, but I was kind of looking at something else here. There was something interesting that I did want to talk about, and you have back in the cage Joanna Calderwood versus Andrea Lee. That's going to be a massive fight. I'm really excited to see that her Joanne come back into the uh, fight game. But on the early prelims, you got Bilal Muhammad versus Takashi Sato on that thing. And if you don't know who Bilal Muhammad is, go check him out. This dude can wreck people if he wants to.
Get to know that name. Get to know that man. That man is so fierce.
Scary, scary.
But don't forget, Zach Cummings is also in the card. He's actually the first fight of the night, so that's definitely going to be a huge test for Omari getting into the game, especially going to be fighting someone with Zach Cummings. They pretty much have like the same amount of mat time, but Zach is 23-6, so it's definitely one of those fights that I'm very excited to watch, and I think other people would be excited to see that as well. So if you guys do get that chance, it is going to be on the UFC Fight Pass. Go check it out. It's definitely going to be worth it. Then you're right. The Joanna Calderwood versus Andrea Lee card fight. It's gonna be nasty. In the words of the great JR, it's gonna be a slobber
Slobber
knocker.
knocker.
So yeah, let's get into this main event, right? We as you guys know, if you guys have been listening to the podcast, we have been doing predictions um throughout the whole last couple months. Uh this month though, Anthony, break us down for the month of August, like how we all did.
All right, so we are supposed to be doing this challenge, by the way, and Julie lost the first month, which we were like, all right, this is the first start. We're kind of get into it. Then this month it was a bit closer. We didn't do as well as we did in July. So Julie and Cliff, you guys tied at 11-11 for the month. You guys ended up at 500, and your boy AJ Luhan went 12-10 to take the title of August champion.
Dang. Was that back-to-back months now?
Yeah, buddy.
There's not going to be a three-peat. We're not going to let that slide.
Julie
Julie and I got something to say about it. So, to give you an idea of how we're doing this based on the main events only, right? So, let's start us off, right? I gotta pull the card back up. I had you. Get the KO. There we go. All right. So let's start us off, right? First fight night, we're gonna have Marbek Tsumov versus Carlos Diego Ferreira. Anthony, who are you taking in this fight?
Give me a second here. And my tablet went down. For this fight, I am taking the 15-2 Carlos Diego Ferreira. I think his hands are just gonna be too much for him.
Yeah, and so as I mentioned earlier, Julie is not with us today. She's having technical difficulties, but she also took Carlos Diego Ferreira. I'm gonna be honest, I took Marbek Tissimov because I slaughtered his name, and I have a history of if I slaughter people's names, I just want to take that fighter because they're probably gonna win. Sounds fucked up, but guess what? It really helped me out when I was in a crunch. Next fight up, we have Curtis Blades versus Shamil Abdurakhimov. And Anthony, who'd you take in this fight?
I'm taking Curtis Blades definitely on this one. Don't get me wrong, his opponent's no slouch, but I think Curtis has some heavy hands that if he connects, you go on night-night.
Shamil is a nightmare. There's no doubt about that. Shamil is very, very good. He's 20-4. He is fighting against Curtis Blades. Blades is 11-2. I also chose Curtis Blades, and then Julie took Curtis Blades as well. So for our next fight that we have going on, we have Ismail Makhanoff versus Davy Ramos. Julie took Ismail, and I have also taken, Islam. Islam Makovic, Davy Ramos. She took Islam. I took Islam as well. Anthony, who are you taking for this fight?
I took Islam as well.
And obviously, that's what also another reason why I'm going to pick. And so I'm taking Islam because I just slaughtered shit out of his name. So, this was the toss-up fight for Julie. Edson Barboza versus Paul Felder. This is the co-main event. This is probably going to be the fight that everybody wants to see because this was the fight everybody wanted to see the first time. Both these guys, devastating. Just going to come off of super brutalness. I don't even know where to start with this fight. Julie took Paul Felder. She said it was one of the hardest fights for her to pick. He is coming off of a huge win with James Vick. But we shall see what happens. I also took Paul Felder. I think Paul's hands and his heart is what's going to get him through this fight. Edson, with his devastating kicks, obviously we know that's what he can do. But Anthony, who did you choose?
I took Edson Barboza. I think his kicks are going to keep Felder out of range. I think he's going to take his legs away, which we all know if he takes his legs away, takes away the power punching, takes away the mobility. So let's go Edson. Let's get back on that winning streak.
Yeah, so Edson and Paul Felder, this is the second time they fought. And the last time that they fought, Edson won the fight by decision. Paul Felder has acknowledged that. He has talked about it numerous times about how this fight is. And the one thing that I think is crazy is that Edson Barboza is coming off of a knockout loss to Justin Gaethje. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, I'm pulling for Paul for this fight. So our main event, this is probably another fight that's going to be tough for us to call, right? You have 27-0 Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Dustin Poirier. Julie has taken Khabib. I have slaughtered his last name, which is also why I take Khabib. And Anthony, who is your pick?
Let's go. Dustin the Diamond Poirier is going to give Khabib his first loss.
That's a pretty solid pick. And I think these last two fights, man, there's not a loser in this fight. Sure, there's a loser, but we're all gonna win. The fans are gonna win in this fight. We're all gonna be happy because it's gonna be nasty. It should be a nasty fight to watch. So with that being said, we have some other stuff that we got to talk about, right? I mean, we can acknowledge because we saw this today. Breaking news. We're gonna talk about it. Anthony's all excited. Big in the boxing world. Manny Pacquiao wants to fight.
Dude, are we gonna do what the Fook is happening right now?
Pretty much that's what our new section is gonna be. Is with the Fook. The Fook is happening.
The Fook is happening.
The Fook is happening is Manny Pacquiao wants to fight Bud Crawford, Terrence Bud Crawford. Both of them are champions, right? And so it's pretty much the unification fight that's going to be happening. Let's be honest, man. It's the Filipino wrecking machine. He's a killer. He's brutal. He's a politician, so he knows how to talk his way in. And he's fighting probably one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Bud Crawford is no joke. Obviously, Anthony and I are going to lean one way because we're from Nebraska, and that's who we're cheering for. So, Anthony, why don't you give the analysis that you have for this fight?
Oh my God! So I can't even right now. When I just seen that, that actually came out a few days ago, and I just happened to scroll upon it. We don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know if it's going to happen. It's just a rumor right now. But Manny Pacquiao, we can say, is probably one of the goats of this industry. He's not afraid to fight anybody. He just gave somebody their first loss of their career. But your boy Terrence Bud Crawford from Omaha, Nebraska, baby, representing. Hopefully, he can bring it down and beat up on Manny Pacquiao. And I'm so excited for this fight.
Yeah, this is a fight that I think fans want because obviously Manny's tough. He's 41 years old. He's still boxing, and he still looks good. It's just I think at this time, man, I wish this fight would have happened a year ago or 2 years ago. But we're getting it now, and I couldn't be any more excited. Hopefully, I know it's still in the rumor mills, but it's definitely something that needs to be talked about. So.
The thing is it's Manny Pacquiao. He is one of the baddest guys on the planet. He literally just who did he just beat? He just beat somebody and gave them his first loss of his career. I'm trying to pull it up right now.
Yeah, I know that recently Bud Crawford was on the Joe Rogan podcast, the Joe Rogan Experience, and they were talking about the fight with Pacquiao, and Bud said he doesn't think that he didn't think that Manny wanted this fight, and it was because because Fred Roach was like, nah, that's not gonna be a good fight for you. Don't take that fight, with Bud, because Bud's one of those guys who's if he's going southpaw, he's really good southpaw. If he's going orthodox, he's really good orthodox. So he doesn't have a glaring weakness. He can land the same amount of shots with both sides, and he doesn't have a favorite. He can just outbox you one way or another. So I think I think this is a fight that Pacquiao needs to take because we gotta get these belts unified, man. And it would be cool to see one champion have all those belts.
Yeah, the whole promotion thing from Top Rank Boxing to um, wherever Maniel was fighting with. I just think that sides aren't going to meet up. It might not happen. It probably won't happen. But God, if it does, Lord have mercy, I will pay top money to get over there and watch that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I know this. I know this isn't necessarily in the world of combative sports. Something else I want to talk about though, and the Fook is happening. It'll be something that we cover, or I end up covering actually on Frankensteiner. But did some of you guys will probably have known this, some of you guys won't. So recently, on the past weekend, there was an event by All Elite Wrestling. Yes, we're getting into wrestling. All Elite Wrestling, and Chris Jericho, which a lot of you may know, won their belt. However, he also got that belt stolen, and it took about 12 to 14 hours, but the Jacksonville police was able to locate that belt after it was left in a limousine in Jacksonville. And the limousine, which had parked at a Longhorn Steakhouse, turned back to return the wrong luggage that Chris Jericho had picked up, and the belt got stolen. Um, so, with that being said, the Fook happened.
All
like,
right, so Chris Jericho got lucky. We'll give him that. I'm not going to talk AEW wrestling. Get that out of here. But there is some stuff that has happened this last week that I'm like, what is going on? What the fuck? One of them is your boy, Greg Hardy, has just been announced to fight in Singapore on October 26th, the Masvidal Damian Maya card. He's going to take on Georges Danho. They're both 5-1.
uh-oh, this could be a lot of fun. Um, Greg obviously having devastating hands. He's been labeled to knock out a lot of people. He did lose his first fight in the UFC. Yeah. But since then, he's just been obliterating people, and it's been amazing to watch. I can't even knock it, man. So hopefully, when we see him go to China, he doesn't fall to the time zone. He can get it together and win the fight. So that's me pulling early for him.
Yeah, so that just was. Let's talk about Bellator fighting, and let's talk about who they just signed. Do you know who that is,
Yes,
Cliff?
that is the Fook Happen moment. Um, so for some of you guys who don't know, Chris Cyborg has signed with Bellator. If you don't know what happened with her in the UFC, it's a whole bunch of what the fuck. Um, she obviously, her team did some dirty stuff. Dana White wasn't having it, just cut her off, kicked her out, terminated the contract, and then that was it. So Cyborg, obviously Scott Coker, he's former, he used to run Strike Force, huge fan of Chris Cyborg, snatched her up right away and brought her into Bellator. So Bellator again has some huge names that are going to be associated with Bellator that are former UFC guys. Um, right now, it's just amazing to see like how many titles are being held by people who were in the UFC. You know what I mean?
Yes. It's crazy, and this is a crazy, crazy deal. They're saying that um, is the richest contract in women's MMA history. I don't see any numbers here, but they're saying it is huge.
What's her weight class again? She's
Like a 145 pounder.
yeah. That's right. What they tell her that was because Bantam is where Henry is, and then you have who would have been the next champ?
145.
And who's that?
Featherweight.
That's yeah, that's Max, right?
That's
Yeah, that's
max.
Max's class. Um, yeah, so I don't know, it'll be interesting to see because they're gonna they're gonna have to have a division for her. She's gonna be at the 145, so a lot of the other women who can step up and fight her. I mean, it's I don't want to say it like this, but it feels like it's gonna be a lot of cupcake fights for her um, until like somebody from one FC crosses over and wants to fight.
Uh, yeah, you're right. I mean, this also opens up. What is Amanda Nunez going to be able to keep defending on both titles? And is she going to finally give up one? And if so, does that 145-pound division go away now?
Yeah, yeah, very true. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like she's probably one of those few champs who can keep both divisions afloat. But the problem is that you're probably thinking like every 6 months that belt is getting defended in either weight class. Um, but I would like her to hold the 145 and then let the 135 go. Because you have a lot more fighters in the 135. She's a big name at 145. She's a big name at 135 as well. But she can pick and choose who she wants to fight and when she wants to fight. So I don't know. Personally, I think Amanda just gives up to 135, let some other girls fight for it so that division doesn't get held up, and she can continue doing her thing.
There's more fighters at 135 than 145.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they're going to keep that 145. That's going to be crazy. They made that 145 for Chris Cyborg, so she didn't have to cut down to 135 and kill her body. I mean, we've all seen her weight cuts; they're disgusting. Let's get off that subject. Congratulations, Chris, on your new deal. I have two other things I want to talk about. One's going to be real quick, and the other one is going to be a debate. I know it's going to be a debate between us.
Awesome.
So, your drunkle came out and said that on TSN and said the guy that he got knocked out by, he was going in to give him a hug.
It did not look like a hug to me. Now when you say this, now when you have your hands up, you say, "Hit me," and then he did, and then he knocked you out. Yeah, there was no.
Got stalked and slapped, and he's saying that Drunkle saying that he was trying to hug him. The other thing I want to talk about is this just came out a few hours ago, actually. Brian Ortega wants to fight Jose Aldo, and the winner fight is in a title fight eliminator if Cream Zombie doesn't want Jose Aldo.
Yeah. So I guess this is the part where we're gonna talk about debate. Like, I mean, I don't know which side you're kind of leaning on. So, what do you think about the fight?
So it'd be stupid not to book Korean Zombie versus Jose. What are you really doing with Brian Ortega? That's my question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, T City, he lost the championship fight. He hasn't fought since, has he? I don't think he's no. I think he's still off the fight cards. Um, no, man. What I would do is I would just sign him up. I'd sign him up for a fight, but then, I agree. I think if Korean Zombie doesn't want to fight, then I would give it to T City and let T City go at it with Jose Aldo. But in the end, man, I think T City's gonna win the fight either way. That's gonna be me being honest. I mean, I think he's taller, he's longer, he's got more stamina, he's younger, he's hungrier, he's probably going to be re-energized after the loss to Max Holloway. So I think Jose has like an uphill. The only thing he has experience, but it's a uphill climb because T City is very calculated on how he wants to fight, and he takes the fight where he wants to take the fight, and he's like to keep the fight standing. The one thing about Scarface is Scarface has some heavy hands, but the problem to my other part of that would be um, Frankie was the same way, and Frankie was fast. He liked to throw a lot of punches. He got caught with an uppercut, and we've already seen that Jose Aldo can be put out with one punch, Connor. So it is what it is. I mean, where would you lean on that side on that?
I I don't even know, but here's the thing. Um, you're sitting there with Ryan Ortega as the number 2 fighter. Do you have him fight Frankie Edgar again, or do you have him fight somebody like Zabit?
I think testing him with a beat would definitely be the move. You've already knocked out Frankie Edgar. There's no reason to take that fight, and you knocked out Frankie not like with a fluke, like you hit him with a pretty devastating uppercut and put him out for the night. So yeah, I think Zabit would have to be the move.
Um, so yeah, I just I don't I thought you would you're gonna be agree that I thought you were gonna give me a little bit bigger of a fight of Jose Aldo, but
It there's something about Jose, man. Like he's a living legend. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But the problem with Jose is that his last few fights, he's just obviously Father Time has caught up with him, kind of tested him, and he hasn't looked nearly as good. Now, if this was Jose Aldo from a while ago, a couple of years, yeah, I would be like, nah, man, Jose Aldo's got the heavy hands. Scarface don't play around, and he's willing to go toe to toe with anybody. But unfortunately, it's not the same guy. So
okay,
it's kind of
so
like watching Muhammad Ali when he came back after taking 3 years off of being forced to retire. So it is what it is.
here's the thing, and as you talk about age, with Jose, he's 32 years old. He's been in the game forever, right? I mean, professionally, he's been fighting since since 2004. That's August of 2004.
Right.
First loss of his career was in like 2005. Then he didn't lose. He didn't lose for a long time till he got caught by Connor in 2015. Then he went on and beat Frankie Edgar. Then lost to Max Holloway twice.
Right.
After Max Holloway, though, he beat Jeremy Stevens in the first round. He knocked him. He TKO'd Jeremy Stevens with punches. And Jeremy Stevens is no slouch. Like, he still has it in him. And after that, he had Renato Moiciano, where in the first round, Renato looked good. And then in the second round, he hurt him, and the veteran and Jose just attacked him and swarmed him. And then he looked good. He didn't look bad against Alexander Volkanovski. He looked decent. He looked real decent. I just to say that he's out of the game is hard to say. But I'm with you there. I really am with you that that Ortega would. I think he'd just tag him and tag him and tag him and tag him. And the Korean Zombie, that dude is insane.
Yeah. But to go back to your point, right? Volkanovski, he's the number one contender for a reason, and he beat Jose Aldo and was beating him to the punch handily. I mean, it wasn't some kind of slouch ass fight where he was sitting back here like, decisions. I gotta make one. No, he was handling his business. So, but he was also pushing the tempo in that fight. He was also pushing the fight where he wanted it. He was in the clinch game. He was out of the clinch game. He was doing what he had to do. So, the thing about it is, then you saw we can go back. Alexander Volkanovski knocks out Chad Mendes prior to that. So I have to give it big props, man. I just think that Jose, he is the legend. He is the man. He did beat Moicano, and Ethan Stevens, but I just think that after his 2 losses to Max Holloway, he had a rebound. Once he rebounded, it was, Alexander Volkanovski had the book already on him. So he just kind of put the tempo out there. And you have someone like T City who's going to come through, and Brian Ortega is just going to lay punch after punch after punch. He's going to follow the same playbook, and there's nothing that Scarface is going to do to be able to close that gap, especially at this point in his career.
I like it. All right, so the last thing that I'm going to bring up, I don't know if you have anything else. Last thing for What the Fook moment is Nate Diaz shines up in the UFC rankings for the first time since his last fight in 2016 when he beat Anthony Pettis. He is now number 6 in the welterweight.
You know what's funny though, man? Because Andre Ward was on the Joe Rogan Experience talking about this too, where it's crazy to think that someone who takes 3 years off just because he can, just comes back and just dominates one of the best, uh, one of the best lightweights like to be out there and does it handily. It's no disrespect to Pettis because he's a former champ and he's obviously the Showtime kick. We talk about that all the time, but it's just something to be said that when you take time off and you come back and you do what you do and you handle your business the way you handle your business, bruh, you a bad man. And that's exactly what Andre Ward said. He said he texted Nate Diaz and he's like, you a bad man. And credit to him, man. Nate Diaz, he's always training, but I thought time away and ring rust was going to be something that was going to be pretty fierce. And I know people say like, well, he's been training and he's been doing this and been doing that, but I was like, yeah, but there's a difference between like sparring and training and then actually being into the competitive set. And the last time we saw Pettis was just dominant in his fight. I don't want to say dominant. He caught Wonder Boy and put him out. So going back, I'm like, yeah. And then when I saw the fight again, I was like, man, I really should stop saying that I have no faith. Not no faith. I just had not as much faith in Nate Diaz. I should have had the same amount of faith in Diaz that I had when he fought Conor McGregor the first time in this fight with Pettis, and I didn't, and that's what ended up catching me for the L for this last month.
Yeah, definitely. And I keep saying this is my last one. This is my last one. We do have one more. I want to talk about how big does Darren Till look?
Yeah. So for some of you guys who don't know, Darren Till has added a crazy amount of size. Is he looking to go to 185?
Yeah, his next fight is supposedly against Kevin Gastelum.
Oh yeah, that's right. We've talked about this a couple times. Yeah, he's enormous. And it's like, but the problem that I'm having with this is that he's going up in weight. So I'm curious to see like how that affects him, like as far as speed. And I know he's gonna have more power, but I want to see about speed and technique. I want to see what's gonna happen in that aspect of the fight. So what's your thought process on it?
His dieting is gonna be scary. Like everything, like even his coaches say, like, is his dieting gonna be right now that he doesn't have to cut that extra 15 pounds? What's it gonna be like? I mean, I have this picture up, and I'm like, dude, this dude is massive, dude. He might tear up some people at 185, but he also better realize that Kevin Gastelum has a strong right hand that knocks people out. So just a fair warning, just his last 2 fights against George Masvidal, right?
Yeah.
And he got knocked out by George. And prior to George, he got beat by Tyrone Woodley by that Darce choke. I mean, dude, you better just watch your chin. That's all I'm gonna say. And maybe that might help him moving up, is because he's not having to lose all that weight, and so he's a little bit more fresh too.
Yeah, I think the one thing to take away from this too is that Darren Till, though, and it's really going to come down to his endurance as well, because obviously his muscles, if you're adding weight and you're adding muscle mass, your body's going to have to take in more oxygen. So I'm very curious about his cardio game as well. So it should be something to be noted. But yeah, Kevin Gastelum, man, he's also got a great wrestling background. I mean, that's like his thing. He could take guys to the ground and he could just ground a pound from the bottom. And that's we've seen him do it a couple times. So it's going to be a very fun fight to watch. There's no doubt about it. So I cannot wait to see what happens next. Um, you got anything else you want to add on to that?
I promise you that's my last what the fuck is going on.
Okay, so I have one, and we're going to talk about this, and this is probably where the debate really might happen. So it's been noted that Frankie Edgar wanted to drop down to bantamweight, right? But now there's rumors of him being circulated with Conor McGregor as far as like the fight goes, okay? And it'll be up at rumor has it it's gonna be up at 155. But it could go between 145 and 155. So, with that being said, if Conor McGregor returns back into the octagon and we're fighting at 155, where do you see this fight? Because obviously, Frankie's gonna have to put on weight to get up to 155. How do you see this fight, and
Don't do it.
how do you see it? Where do you think the
Don't
victory is gonna be?
don't do it. Don't do it unless you're doing it at 145. Like Connor's gonna have it's gonna be a struggle for Connor to do it at 145. Dude, Frankie, dude, you walk around at 145. You should be able to cut down to 135. You have to gain 10 pounds somewhere. Boy, you better be eating a bunch of Snickers in some bread to do so. Um, oh my god, I just so stupid. So
Well,
stupid to
let's put it
move
this
up
way.
like that.
Let's just say the fight happens at 145, okay? And Connor drops to 145. How do you see the fight playing out? And how do you see this fight playing out at 145? Let's put it that way.
At 145, Frankie's gonna have a better chance. His wrestling, he can't stop wrestling. That's the thing. That's the only way he's gonna beat McConnor, I think, is if he wrestles Connor to ground and uses his ground game. Standing, got knocked out by Brian Ortega with an uppercut. Conor McGregor has a fast left hand, a powerful one at it. I I don't see him beating Conor McGregor standing up.
So I'm going to be combative just to be combative, okay?
Dick.
Well, you're right that Connor's game is not in the wrestling department. Frankie Edgar clearly dominates that department. Where Frankie's biggest challenge is going to come is when Connor throws his oblique kick and continually throws the oblique kick, causing Frankie to back his stance up, and he's not going to keep the wide stance, and his boxing stance will even close up even more. It's almost to the point where he's going to be standing up. I think where the fight really gets different is when Connor starts tagging Frankie, one with an oblique kick and then moving right in, right to 1-2 combos and then coming in. The one thing I do like about Frankie Edgar is that his boxing game is on point. I mean, he's always training in the boxing. He's always in the ring working on his skills. So he's very, very skillful in that department. I just think that his kick game is what's definitely going to cost him this fight. And I see Connor just throwing some wild ass kick for no reason and then landing it and just putting out Frankie in the fight.
The thing is if you're using that oblique kick, it's going to cause enough pain that your opponent's really going to want to shoot in, take you down, and keep you away from using your legs as much as Connor can use. His boxing's on. Don't get me wrong, but he doesn't have the power. He doesn't have the Nate Diaz power. He doesn't have the really that Nate. I mean, Khabib hit Connor with that hook. Do you remember that hook he hit Connor with in it was like a third round of their fight? I don't think he has Khabib power either. I just don't see him being able to hurt Connor and to get in close enough to Connor, because come on, dude. Let me pull this up real quick. Max Holloway, not Max Holloway. Frankie Edgar's reach is 68 inches.
Yeah.
What is Conor McGregor's?
think 66. No, I feel like it's a little longer than that.
Conor McGregor's reach is 74 inches.
It's a lot longer than I thought. I was
Yeah.
way off.
So Conor is 5'9" with a long reach and some long legs.
Yeah.
The kicks are going to keep him distant. If the kicks aren't going to do it, the reach is going to do it. You better hope that you put Conor at 145 because that means he's going to lose enough weight that he's going to be a little bit drained. We haven't seen
Still catch
Conor.
weight at 148.
I don't. You better stick to your guns and be at 145, Frankie. You better say no. You have to be at 145 because Conor's going to demolish you.
It's a pretty fair assessment.
If he does, dude, if this happens and Conor demolishes him, Frank Edgar's done. I hate to say it. He wants to go down to 135, but Conor might kill him.
All right. Well, with that being said, that does wrap up this segment for
What the Fook?
What's
going on here?
So with that being said, yo, Anthony, why don't you give out some of your Lincoln love?
Lincoln love, baby. What's going on in my life right now? I don't even know. I have a 2-year-old who are trying to potty train. I have a 5-year-old that's in school, and I got to do a color run tomorrow. Like, oh my god, my kindergartner is gonna be the end of me. Aaron is we are at 36 weeks Thursday. Oh my god, we're there. We're getting there. Hopefully Friday, Cliff, it doesn't come. My Lincoln love is my family, dude. Like, my Lincoln love, I've always support everything here from Miss Taken to my MMA fighters to my family, and I'm gonna do a bigger one here, and I'm probably gonna cry a little bit here, and I'm gonna. We don't have enough listeners for this. If we do a podcast, we'll probably put on top podcast because I want prayers. I want prayers for I'm gonna call him my cousin Gregory. He was in an accident over a month ago, and this dude is a strong dude. I'm telling you, dude. Out in Iowa, they think he had a seizure, maybe, and that hospital has not done right on him. The doctor said he was brain dead, dude. How crazy is this? And then 4 days later, he's talking to people. So Saturday, we were sitting at home after the Husker game, and I called my nephew to remind him, hey, we have a fantasy football draft. Don't forget about it. And he's like, okay. And he was with Gregory at the hospital, visiting him. And I'm like, tell Gregory I love him and stay strong. He's like, how about you say it to him? Say it to you yourself to him. So I like give him the phone. I told Gregory, oh, man, I love you. He's like, I love you back. It was so great to hear his voice. And then it just shocked me. He's like, how's your baby? Like, this dude was brain dead and he remembers that I'm having a baby. How insane is that? So, listeners, everybody, my friends, my family, just keep praying that he's going to make good recovery. Hopefully, he's going to make it out of this thing with a clean slate of health and maybe a broken shoulder and a good story. So prayers out to you, Gregory, man. Love you, brother. That's my Lincoln love.
Yeah. For me, as you guys normally, if you guys have seen on the first episode, I was wearing a Nebraska hat. I'm a huge Husker fan, just like Anthony. Today, though, you can obviously see that I'm wearing a Hawks hat. This is my college. I graduated from Becker College in Worcester, Massachusetts, so I definitely wanted to show some love. This is the first time that I actually had some actual gear from them. Everybody makes fun of me because I have tons of colleges, and I had no college apparel from my school. So I have now college apparel from the Hawks. So shout out to Becker College. That's why I wanted to show a little bit of love to those guys. So thank you for everything that you guys were able to help me get. With that being said, Anthony, where can they find you?
All right, before they can find me anywhere, let's talk about something here. And that is 22. 22 veterans die every day from the mental and emotional and physical battles that they can't win. We're talking about suicides here, if you didn't know. Me and Cliff here, we were both veterans, so we both suffer from some sort of PTSD. As much as I joke with him about his PTSDs of pin being out or me seeing an explosion, we literally did something with our lives that changed the path of it, and we suffer so much as well. With us suffering so much, we learned that we like to talk to each other. We're best friends. We talk about every little thing that we can about what's going on in our lives. So we want to extend this out to you guys too, and say that if you're going through anything, if you need just a chat, if you're in a dark place, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We literally will answer you. You reach out. It might not be immediately, but when we see that message, we're definitely pushing it out to you. So do not hesitate to reach out to Cliff or even Julie. She suffers from PTSD as well, and she likes to talk too. We're on a fucking podcast. We're on a fucking YouTube channel now. We love to talk. So reach out. We'll talk. Where to find me? Instagram. You can find me at Instagram at Anthony Lujan 1985. That's my full name, Anthony Lujan 1985. Twitter, which I'm back on. And Snapchat is Lujan1985. You add me, I'll add you. Let's follow each other and send some freaky stuff.
So you guys can find me on all your favorite social media platforms, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Discord, Reddit, at CM_Miller85. So if you're trying to figure it out, yes, it's like CM Punk, but my actual middle initial is M. So CM_Miller85. Also, you guys can find me and Anthony and Julie right here on Get the KO. You guys can actually send us emails now at gettheko@gmail.com. That's gettheko@gmail.com. You can tell us what you think. You like it, you don't like it, something you want to change. It is what it is. Also, leave a comment and a like and subscribe down below. Okay? And let us know what you think. Also, last but not least, you guys can also catch me on Frankensteiner, which is attached to Franken Culture. Big shout outs to Steve for giving us that platform. And last but not least, you can find me on Nerds at the Round Table as well, talking about comic books, movies, TV shows, anything in the comic realm. And I guess this would be my last thing to say, but Friday's my birthday, and I'm turning 34. I'm old.
Happy birthday, Cliff.
Hey, appreciate that. With that being said, Anthony, why don't you tell them bye?
22.
And as always, good fight and good night.